Today we're going to go over the assembly and disassembly of the Generation 1.5 stem on the PRSsix. First, you'll need a few tools. You'll need a razor blade, a 5mm, 4mm, and 3mm hex wrench, and a torque wrench. You'll notice some spare parts that came with your stem. These are for adjusting the fit. Notice the torque specs on the different bolts on the stem. You can check back and reference this clip at any time. First, take the stem body and place it over the steer tube and the fork mast. Then, using a 4mm hex wrench, install your fork mast bolt. Next, if required, use the provided carbon spacer underneath the headset preload bolt and top cap. This will use a 5mm hex wrench. Next, you'll want to snug down your fork mast bolt. Then, using a 5mm hex wrench, you'll want to set your headset preload. This can be done by slowly tightening it until you have no drag when turning side to side, but also have no rocking. You want to ensure that your headset is set properly. Then, align the fork with the stem. Then tighten down your steer tube clamp bolts. Please refer back to the torque specs when doing this. Next, torque down your fork mast bolt. Next, you'll take your bar clamp base and any appropriate spacers required. Start the bar clamp base bolt, but don't thread it in too far. Do this again with the rear top clamp bolt to help with alignment of the bar clamp base. Next, you'll want to bring your handlebars up and route your cables through. This is the tricky part, but this can be done by holding the bars in place and routing the cables through the appropriate holes. You'll notice the graphics with the bar cable routing. These will also be set at the end of the video and can be referenced to at any point in time. When routing your wires, please take care not to pinch any I2 cables between the stem base and the bar base clamp. Once you have your wires routed through and in place, snug down and then torque down your bar base clamp. Once this is done, this should hold your bar in place while you bring it forward and set it into the bar base clamp. Then remove the rear clamp bolt. Reinstall this bolt with the clamp in place and the rest of the bolts. To ensure you have equal purchase in all bolts, start the threads with 5 turns each. Then torque your bolts down to the appropriate torque specs. Next, we'll install the cable cover. This cable cover is made out of plastic and meant to be modified using a razor blade based on the amount of stem spacers used, position of the bar clamp, and cable routing. Ensure when installing this you don't pinch any I2 wires. Next, if an I2 bike is used, slide your junction box into the front of your top tube storage. If not, slide your top tube storage into place and tighten down the top tube storage bolts. Once you've done this, you're ready to go. Next, we'll go over disassembly of your PRSsix stem. First, using a 3mm Allen key, remove the top tube storage device. Next, we'll remove the cable cover. This will require use of a 4mm hex wrench. Then, using a 4mm hex wrench, remove your bar clamp bolts. Then remove the bar clamp completely. Gently rock your handlebars towards the rear of the bike, exposing the bar base clamp bolt. Remove this bolt using a 4mm hex wrench. Once this is removed, take your handlebars and rest them on the side of your bike. Next, remove the fork mast bolt. Then, loosen your steer tube clamp bolts, but do not remove these completely. Then, remove your headset preload bolt and spacer if required. Then you can remove your stem from your frame for cleaning and headset replacement. Please ensure you're using a calibrated torque wrench and following all torque specifications to avoid damage to carbon parts. Brake routing for both electronic and mechanical systems will be set up the same. When setting up your cable routing with Di2 wires, ensure not to pinch the wires as this could damage or short the wires. Mechanical shift cables are routed externally over the bar base clamp. Please note when you're using different spacer combinations that you use the correct length bolts.